Good morning, students. Today we'll be discussing about the chapter 4 statistical methods. So, today I'll be dealing with six questions, that is, what is tabulation? What do you mean by cross tabulation? Mention the parts of a table. What are the merits and demerits of the primary data? What is analysis of data? And what do you mean by interpretation of the data? So, beginning with, let me go for the tabulation. So, tabulation means to tabulate means we are going to organize the data into rows and columns, which is made up of a table. So, it is a systematic and logical presentation of numeric data in rows and tables. It is known as tabulation. So, what is the main objectives of the tabulation? It is to simplify the complex data. Here what happens is that, see, it is going to convert the raw material into finished goods. See, whatever the data we might have, but when it is been tabulated, it will be easy to grasp the things. So what happens is that it is going to simplify the complex data. Second one is that, see, what are the information available in the data, we can easily grasp it. So what happens is that it will bring out the essential features of the data. Thirdly, one of the major objective of tabulation is to facilitate the comparison, and it helps in statistical analysis, and it saves lot of space. So this is an example of a tabulated data. So if you can see here, see, it talks about the growth of population in India. So rural areas, urban area, and total. So worker and non-worker. See, we can see the growth of population, and this is based on the census 2001. So next is, what are the components of a data table? See, in the data table there will be a table number, there will be a title, there will be head notes, stubs, captions, body or row, then footnotes, then source. Okay, so let me explain with an table. So if you can look at here, see, this is the table number, that is 4.5, which is that population of India according to workers and non-workers by gender and location. So see, this population of India according to workers and non-workers, this is the title of the table, and you should mention the table number. Next is column headings. See, these are the column headings like location, gender, workers, non-workers, total. So these are all called as captions. When it comes to the row headings, okay, it is called as stubs. And this complete uh, part of the table is called as body of the table. And from where you have got this information, you have got this information from census of India 2001, and you should mention it as source node. And there will be a footnote. What it says is that the numbers whatever been given here, it has been rounded up to the nearest crore. So these are the components of a table. Next, cross tabulation. See, here in cross tabulation, what happens is that the number of variables will be more, which will be more than one. That is called as cross tabulation. See, if you can look at the example here, see, do you live on campus, off campus, on campus? And they have given the people like freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. So freshman whether lives in off campus or on campus. So there will be more than one variable, which is called as cross tabulation. So what are the types of tabulation? There are total four types of tabulation. One is simple table, two-way table, three-way table, and complex table. See, if you can look at this one, this figure, it talks about the simple table. So it asks about the age group and number of children. So what is the age group? That is 3 to 5. How many children are there? 20 children are there. So age group of 5 to 8. How many children are there? 9 are there. It's a very simple table. So when it comes to the two-way table, it's like a cross tabulation. See, can you see here, football, basketball, baseball? This is the one attribute, and the other is male and female. So we can see the two-way table, and third one is three-way table. Okay, see here there is an engineering background. Here it's an English background. Okay, and like admission and deny. So this is an example of a three-way table, and this is the complex table. So these are the four types of table that we come across when it comes to the statistical tabulation. Next, what is the meaning of the data? Data is nothing but like a raw material. So what the information the that we collected from the primary source, it is called as data. So how do we classify the data? We can classify the data into four forms. One is qualitative, quantitative, temporal, and spatial classification. So qualitative classification, if you look at this uh, picture, it says that, see, it contains the attributes that cannot be quantified. It is called as qualitative classification. Okay, so rural, urban, boys and girls. So in urban, how many boys are there? In rural, how many boys are there? In urban, how many girls are there? Rural, how many girls are there? So we cannot quantify the attributes. It is called as qualitative classification. Next, when it comes to the quantitative classification, see, the data is classified on the basis of the quantitative attributes. This is an example of the quantitative classification. So they talks about the marks and number of the students, like how many students have got the marks in between 0 to 50, it states that 29. How many of them have got 51 to 100, it states that it is 64. Next, a temporal classification. So here the data is classified according to the time. See, 2016 and 2017 sales. What was the sales in 2016? It is 10,000. In 2017 it is 12,500. Next is spatial classification. Here, the classification is done based on the location. Like in India, how many teachers are there? In Russia, how many teachers are there? So this is what is all about the spatial classification, where the data is classified according to the location. Next is primary data. See, this is the data that has been collected on the first hand using the methods like surveys, interviews, or experiments. See, it is the data originally collected at the time of the investigation, and the data will be original in character. For example, the data that has been collected during the population census is one of the example. So, what is the merits of the primary data? When we collect the primary data, the first important merit is that the degree of accuracy will be quite high. And second thing is that, see, when we are analyzing the secondary data, we should be very extra caution. But when it comes to the primary data, there is no need for any extra caution, and we can collect the data what we need. Secondly is that it depicts the data in great detail. So when we are collecting the data in through the primary method, we know the definitions, and for some investigations secondary data will not be available, so we have to go for the primary data. These are the merits of the primary data. So what are the demerits of the primary data? See, it takes lot of time, and secondly is that you should spend lot of money in this one, and it is in some inquiries it is not at all possible to collect the primary data, and it requires lot of labor and it requires lot of skills. Next, what is analysis of the data? It is a process where you systematically apply statistical and logical techniques to describe and illustrate, condense and recap and evaluate data. It is like, see, you are going to convert the raw material into finished goods, where you can't use the raw material, but you can convert it into finished goods and you can use it. So that is what is known as all about the analysis of the data. The main purpose of the analysis of data is to take some decisions. So then what is the meaning of data interpretation? The interpretation means what we have to do is that here we have to make some sense by using the data. Example, like it is a process where it has been collected, analyzed and presented. It is called as data interpretation. If you can look at this example, see the number of students and they who are come in the different colors of dress, like 20 students are in red, 30 students are in black. So by look, we can interpret telling that, see, the number of students who are come in blue color is 35, and the number of students who are come in yellow is 15. So like this, by looking at this data we can interpret. So this is what is known as data interpretation. So to recap, we started with the meaning of the tabulation, components of a table, what are the advantages of the tabulation, what are the types of the tabulation. Then we came to the primary data, what are the advantages of the primary data, and what are the classification of data like qualitative, quantitative, temporal, spatial. Then we came to the data analysis, and finally we are here with data interpretation. So in next class I'll be dealing with the hypothesis. Thank you very much.